I'm Father Stephen Riley here in Salamanca in Spain. Salamanca is famous for various things, but one of the things that it's perhaps not so well known for that it should be is that one could claim that Salamanca is the place in which universal human rights were born. This is because of the infamous conquest of the New World, the Americas, by Spanish people and eventually by the Spanish crown. When the people from Europe went to Latin America, they discovered that whole civilizations and peoples already existed there, and the debate began: what should we do with them? Are they fully human? Are they in some way less human than ourselves and less worthy of dignity? Are their civilizations barbarous, and therefore do we have a right to overtake them and to enslave them? Over those centuries, a fierce debate ensued about the dignity of the indigenous peoples, and those who stood up for them the most were monks from a convent here in Salamanca called San Esteban, St. Stephen. Among those, probably the most well-known are Bartolome de las Casas and Francisco de Vitoria. And as we ask ourselves about the equality of everyone and the universality of human rights, we might want to, in faith, revisit the arguments of those two great men and others. Francisco de Vitoria argued for the rights of the indios, the indigenous people, through, first of all, religious freedom. Just as no one has a right to impose a non-Christian religion on Christians, so Christians should not, under any circumstances, force their religion on others. It was the foundation of the principle of freedom of worship and freedom of religion. But also, de Vitoria argued that everyone is made in the image and likeness of God, and therefore the fundamental rights of the indigenous people are promoted through the book of Genesis. Many other arguments are used which could in fact be summed up for many centuries later in the encyclical Pacem in Terris by Pope John the 23rd in the 1960s. He said this: "When we look at human dignity, it can be much enhanced by our recall to divine revelation. What that tells us is that Jesus died for everyone on this earth, and therefore indigenous people and everyone else are fully human because Jesus died for their sins too. They also are being called to sonship and friendship with God the Father, and they have been given the potential and the possibility for eternal glory." We, together with Francisco de Vitoria and Bartolome de las Casas, who summed up by saying all peoples of the world are human, can assert the universal human rights of every human being on this earth.